Boa tarde a todos, boa tarde a todas.
Good afternoon, all of you. It's a pleasure to be here with you, dear colleagues, in this afternoon. And I'm even more proud to take part in this opportunity where Professor Leonie is going to present the evidence we found in a map. It was quite an interesting work that she led here in Brazil. So Professor Leonie, as we know, she doesn't need any kind of introduction, but I'd like to remind you that she's a veterinary, but she has a collection of PhD programs in veterinary and instrumental pathology with a postdoctorate program in environmental pathology. She is deputy editor of the Homeopathy, and she's also the director of the international international group research. Now I'll give the floor to Professor Leonie, who's also she also has a PhD in being congeniality, let's say, and she's going to be here. Thank you very much. You have the floor. Thank you, Biratan. Thank you for your kind words. I'd like to confirm if you all can see me, can hear me, can see the presentation. Is that okay? Yes, all good. All right, so let's kick off this presentation. Good afternoon, everyone. Again, I hope you are enjoying this event. And in terms of number of participants, I think this jury is holding all the records. Yesterday, we had already hit the records. I think that throughout the following days, we're going to have a lot of people attending. And the online platform makes it happen, which is quite interesting. It's quite an important experience. I'm going to be talking about a very specific paper, and quite interesting too, as Biratan said, about the Homeopathy Evidence Map. This research was done throughout 2021, actually December 2020 and December 2021, so throughout 12 months. And we are getting closer to its conclusion. We are starting to prepare a paper, an article, and I hope you enjoy this story I have to tell you here in the next slides. So this is the title, Homeopathy Evidence Map. It was organized by CABSIN, the Academic Consortium on Integrated Health. I'm going to start from the beginning. So what is this Brazilian Academic Consortium of Integrated Health? It all started in 2017 when Professor Ricardo Gelman, he went to an event at the hospital Albert Einstein in São Paulo about this topic, and he knew some people who were part of an American academic consortium on integrated health. And he thought it was quite an interesting idea. And then he learned that Holland has a similar initiative. So there is a whole network of consortiums that are interacting, are connected with one another. So there are about three, the Brazilian, the American, and the Dutch consortiums. So when he left this event, he was thinking, I want that in Brazil. I want to do that. That would be great. So he started with this idea. He left with this idea and then went back home. So Ricardo is someone who is quick, who is agile, he is very motivated, very driven, and he wants to build interesting things. So the following year, 2018, that's when CABSIN was founded, the Brazilian Academic Consortium on Integrated Health. So he pursued very solid in the partnerships. So he talked to people from Bremen that are connected to PAHO, the Pan American Health Organization. And in the same year, 2018, they started a database, BVS or MTCI, which is traditional complementary integrative medicine. So CAPSIN started alongside with this consortium and other associations. So 2018, that's when CAPSIN started. The idea is to make it happen, is to have this non-profitable organization to start in order to propel, to foster researchers working in traditional complementary and integrative medicine. The main idea, the main goal here is to foster, to propel collaborative research projects with researchers from several parts of Brazil working in any area of MTCI, being able to provide the people with robust content in that area. And especially speaking this without forgetting the integrative medicine, which is respecting human beings' complexity. The objective here is very focused on humans, but the way CAPSIN works, we can learn a lot and apply that to veterinary, which is my background. So what is the idea here? The idea is to follow the WHO guidelines about MTCI. That being said, there is a document, there's a report about this, and this report is renewed, reviewed every now and then. Next update is going to come in 2023. And they also follow the PAHO's directives and guidelines aiming at building robust knowledge based in scientific evidence about MTCI, which means MTCI, traditional complementary and integrative medicine. So we have Ricardo as the president and or the head, and another person that is also very energetic in the area, Caio Portela. And I had the honor to work with with both of them. CAPSIN is created by, or it comprises several committees. And these committees are pillars of the consortium. So we have the pain committee, natural products, integrative, pediatrics, nature and health, oncology, Ayurveda, and I am close, or I'm connected. My project is connected to natural products, coordinated by Carla Olandino. No one works by themselves. No one is an island. And during this short period of life, we have had several partnerships with institutions that are committed to having high quality work. We're talking about the Brazilian Ministry of Health, Ministry of Ayush, and a series or a number of other initiatives that are connected. Also, International Society for Traditional Complementary and Integrative Medicine Research, some universities like UNIP, the one I work for, Fiocruz, and we have a myriad of partners that help us in different projects from CAPSIN. In 2018, that's when it was founded. In 2009, we had this initiative for new projects. Actually, it's a big project split into small ones. We're talking about the evidence maps, about clinical effectiveness in MTCI. This project started or arises from a demand from the Brazilian National Ministry of Health, or the Brazilian Ministry of Health, trying to map where are evidence of the disciplines that comprise complementary medicine and integrative medicine. So CAPSIN undertook this this process of delivering several maps showing where are the several scientific evidence in said area. It's a long-term area, and homeopathy is a little bit of this umbrella project. So we are talking about 2019 here. So CAPSIN with PAHO, Ministry of Health. PAHO actually was had a very strong support, especially in which regards Buremi, trying to find articles and organizing data with the support of the Cancer Institute in Brazil, INCA, and we all got together and started this new project. There was the first round in 2019. We created some maps, including meditation, which we had just had a short session before my lecture. We also had on medicinal plants and a number of other topics. In 2020, we had a second round with different subjects. Homeopathy took place or took part in the second round. The idea here is having a systematic approach of MTCI, all the disciplines that are comprised integrative medicine, and it shows that it has a graphic language. So the whole product that we find in the literature, we show a graph that is actually kind of playful and fun to have it. And then with the signs, you can see where the evidence is and whatever you need some more clarification, more studies to get such evidence. TCMI in English, traditional complementary integrative medicine. So it's very systematic and very fun to handle with it or to play with it. So the idea was to offer support and have a quick access to information. So you have a quick glance and you see everything you need. For healthcare workers, for those healthcare managers and researchers who are willing to work in that area, trying to build knowledge, evidence-based knowledge about TCMI. Then that's what those maps are for. This is an example of a provisional screen. We're still working on reviewing it. We are going through the details, and once it is launched, it's going to be perfect. Even the cosmetic part of it, it's going to be improved. So what we have here is a preliminary version. And based on this preliminary version, we can get to some conclusions. There is plenty of data that is being crossed, and the colors here show you a number of information at the same time, focusing on scientific evidence base of those different areas being studied, and that includes homeopathy. So the map over homeopathy and other areas that started in December 2020. This is the picture we have. This is a meeting on Zoom. It was actually the first meeting we had in 2020. That's where it all started. We have three main coordinators leading these studies. We have Veronica, who coordinates Bireme. She helps us with processing data. Mariana Cabral knows it all about systematic review or reviewing. It's a tool we use. I'm going to explain it soon. And Caio, who is the vice president of CAPSIN, he helps with the information technology piece. The other coordinators, the other participants coordinate each different topic. And me, I am in charge of homeopathy map. This is a structure we worked on. So we built a team so that we could have the best result possible, taking advantage of everyone's expertise so that they could help with the time they had available and within their expertise so that everything could work fine. And I think everything worked fine. So far, so good. So we have a coordinator and we have a team of experts here. We have Ubirtan, Edgar, Carla, Edna, and Adriana. This team was responsible for analyzing the collected data. They did most of the legwork. These 5 people plus me, who also took part participate in this phase. If when you see all data connected or collected from literature, you have an independent team. This team analyzed the quality of systematic reviews used as a reference in order to build the map. We analyzed content, the results we found from the systematic review analysis, and another group was analyzing the methodology quality for each systematic review we were analyzing. So if you were analyzing a review, you are not going to interfere with what others are working on quality, for example. So it provides a security net. Oh, I like this review, but I like this author, so I'm going to cheat a little bit and say it was good. So now we have two independent analyses. So they are very objective due to this independence. Another independent team we had the data collecting team. Veronica's right hand helped us a lot, Maristela Takeda, who is a bibliotecary, our librarian, and she created the strategies to look for the database. There is a whole new science to do that. And Maricela helped us. In the second moment, we reviewed articles that were collected from the databases. And after that, if we didn't get articles that came with this first approach, if there was any kind of repetition, or the ones that were not in the scope, were sieved. Those who helped us conclude this number of articles we had to analyze from their expertise. We're talking about Catherine Gardner and Rachel Roberts, two incredible people who know a lot about clinical research data analysis, especially in which regards systematic review. So they use their expertise at this very first moment, trying to find the group of articles picked to be part of this work. Based on what? Based on exclusion criteria. These criteria were always available for each item in the analysis. I'm going to be talking about this later. After collecting and organizing all the data already connected or put in the map, we wrote a report. And now we have the masters of the universe. We have Rachel here again. She is our hero. She's a great collaborator. She's very experienced in this area. Robert, too. I think he is out of the homeopathic doctors. He is one of the best in this review, the final review. I don't know anyone better than him, and he agreed to work with us, and he helped us discuss the results. And Bernard Poitevin. He is a great research on homeopathy since the 80s. Though they are very committed to homeopathy research, especially clinical research, which is essential. You notice that it's a multidisciplinary team. We have a veterinary here, mostly comprised of doctors for obvious reasons, right? The idea is to have the clinical efficacy in human beings. So we have Biratan, Ednar, Bernard, Robert, and Katerina as a doctor. Rachel is a biologist. Carla and Adriana are pharmacists, and Maristella is a librarian. So it's a highly multidisciplinary team, and they helped with their line of work. What is the methodology or the method for this map? First of all, we had to collect information from literature from the past 30 years, from 1991 until April 2021, until April because we needed time to process all the data. So we collected data from April until April 2021. And only systematic review and meta-analysis were included in this. So this is the very first criterion. We want to only use systematic reviews and meta-analysis. Why? Because they are on the top of the pyramid, the evidence pyramid. The idea was to identify what are the best pieces of evidence in the TCMI, but in which regards homeopathy. The best place to take a look, to look it up, we are talking about systematic reviews. And that's why we picked this criterion for studies. And all the evidence map, and not only homeopathy, but all of them, the method is the same for everything, for all. The idea here is to add the cherry on top. That's where we are going to find the information we want. The focus of this clinical research is human beings. Then the idea is to map the best evidence in clinical effectiveness of homeopathy. So this is a very descriptive study. You analyze the references and learn or collect the most significant results seen in the literature. We followed method extremely to the letter. We had the research into two stages. We had a preliminary selection of the references. So we found, actually looked up in four databases, PubMed and Base, BVS, and CINEL. Maristella automatically collected systematic reviews on homeopathy in the past 30 years on these databases. And then we upload this information to Rayon, which is a platform created in order to help researchers to have systematic reviews. We used a few keywords, and Maristella created a search strategy for homeopathy and synonyms, cross-referenced with systematic review and other synonyms of those keywords. So the search strategy was created by Maristella and also Veronica, who helped. After that, we had a pre-selection of references based on abstracts. When the software, the platform Rayon, collects this, you have the abstract on the screen. This tool is quite interesting. And from the abstract, we have a screening to see out of these articles, which ones would be in our exclusion criterion or not. This first selection was done using Rayon, but only, or at least two reviewers could analyze each abstract. At first, we had 239 abstracts, and we split these abstracts with the team members, in order to have at least two people reviewing these abstracts. Why is that? So we could have like a blind selection of things. For example, I worked with Ubiratan, so I analyzed the same abstracts he did, but my decisions on abstracts being added or not to the study, I would only see it myself. He wouldn't see mine, and vice versa. So we wouldn't influence one another. At the end, we opened those codes, and then everyone, the whole team, had access to all abstracts and all the yeses and all the nos. And where there was a conflict, where somebody thought that this should be added, others thought no, and then we tried to find consensus after 2, 3 meetings on Zoom with all members of the team.
So this was the first stage of this method. What were the criteria of inclusion and exclusion? So inclusion, there were 2 systematic reviews, one in English, Portuguese, and Spanish. They describe homeopathic intervention and health outcomes with a clear association between them. So what did homeopathy did or apply to these results? And this is what we really needed to do in order to analyze these abstracts. And the focus was always on efficacy and effectiveness. There were some studies about security, cost, benefit. These are out of the scope. So the idea was to look at the efficacy and effectiveness. And exclusion criteria, we removed the gray literature, or for example, essays from Congress, things that were not published, letters to editors, theses and dissertations, letters to editors, things that were not that did not go through a systematic review. We did not include that. Primary clinical studies, we didn't include it either. Well, I did a good trial. Good. It will be considered a study if it's part of the systematic review, or it will go to the next map. In the update of that map, once it's published, it will get into some systematic review of someone and will come into play in a next map. It will not get lost, but it will be incorporated later, because our idea is to have a long-term work and that we are able to update from time to time. So the idea is to look for systematic review articles. So primary clinical studies and experimental research did not come into play because the focus was on clinics, and also non-systematic reviews, even simple reviews that were non-systematic, they did not enter the work. And systematic reviews published in other languages, besides those that are determined to be included, and reviews on other practices. And also sometimes systematic reviews included several practices and also homeopathy. And these were considered as long as they had 2 articles that cited homeopathy. If there was only 1 article about homeopathy, that it was not systematic, and this one would be excluded. Reviews that were only about homeopathy, they were immediately included. And reviews that had another approach, that were not the ratio intervention and outcome, and others that were not directed to efficacy and effectiveness, they were also excluded. So the selection was very rigid. So the second phase of the process was the analysis phase. In this phase, there was a very deep analysis from the totality of the text, not just the abstract. There was a pre-selection and then there was a deep analysis, and we tried to identify the exclusion and inclusion criteria based on these pre-selected articles, and also to evaluate and if there were other things not included. So in that moment, at that point, we had a great participation from Rachel and Katarina, and they added some studies that were missing. And from there, we did the characterization of each study or systematic review that was selected. These characterizations took into account the types of intervention, the homeopathic medicine, the potencies, and the outcomes and clinical issues that were analyzed, the types of populations that were treated, focused countries where primary studies were done. And so we also took into account where were these studies performed, where were these informations coming from. All of this was taken into account, and also the results, obviously, and if the homeopathic intervention affected the outcome or not. So as I showed you in the previous slide, we always double checked for each article analyzed by a member, there's someone that will review later and verify the information. So there's another checkup, and vice versa, also in this phase here. And parallel to the AMSTAR team that worked on the quality of the review, they also worked within the same, using the same approach, the double checking approach. And in parallel to another team that had Carla, Leandro Machado. So you see the pharmacists here, they were in charge of standardizing remedy names according to the Brazilian homeopathic pharmacopoeia. So we felt that there was a need to standardize according to the Brazilian homeopathic pharmacopoeia. And the main goal of the map was to answer to what the Brazilian ministry was asking for. So we tried to use as a guideline the Brazilian homeopathic pharmacopoeia in order to standardize the names of their medicines, because there are different names that vary from country to country. So we try to harmonize it to make it easy for those who look at the map and try to identify the potency, so that those people don't get lost. So we thought it was important to do this harmonization. So the methodology in this analysis phase involved technical work as well. So all the data that were extracted from this systematic reviews were launched into a pre-structured form using RedCap platform. That is an excellent platform for this type of work. And at the end, when we concluded or completed all of the review forms with all the checkings and double checkings and reference, and we performed a final verification, a last checklist of all reviews to determine if there was nothing missing. And then Ubiratan and we did a third review, because during the process, it was already done in pairs, but at the end we did another review, and this data was made available to Caio. Caio put it on Tableau, which is a tool that builds the map per se, which is a graphical representation. So from this map that was launched graphically, we elaborated a report with all the outcomes. And now we're still building a discussion that's getting deeper and deeper. And now we see the team of foreigners, which are the international reviewers, Robert, Bernard. And from that point, we intend to send this article for publication. So this is the flow. We use the Prisma platform that's used for reviews. We have 239 articles, 5 were duplicate, and we excluded those duplicate ones.